I'm Joe Keyport, and you're listening to the Ear Coffee Podcast. This week, I talked to Liz and Shay of the funk punk duo Little Lizard. Earlier this year, the band released their second full-length record, Earthlings, and we got a chance to sit down and discuss that release. This interview felt like it was a long time coming, as I have bumped into this duo multiple times over the last few years. If you're looking for something a little out there and just fun to listen to while you're stuck inside, definitely go give Earthlings a spin. It's Little Lizard, right here on the Ear Coffee Podcast. Today I'm joined by Liz and Shay of the band Little Lizard. How are you all doing here on this Monday night? It's kind of, we mentioned off mic, it's the eve of almost destruction without trying to be that fatalistic, but,
Hopefully not destruction.
We'll see. Yeah, I'm doing good though.
Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed.
I'm glad. Jumping right into it, I always like to know when why people start creating music. It's always interesting what makes people get out of either just being a fan or just playing it casually to creating something themselves. So if you want to individually talk about how you got into music, and we can kind of go from there.
Yeah, for me, I started in middle school when they were like, you need to do music. Are you going to do choir or band or orchestra? So I did band. That's when I started playing brass.
Okay.
Played French horn first. That did not go well.
Oh.
So then I switched over to trumpet. That went a lot better. Played that through college. And then I took a 4-year hiatus from music, and it was a bummer. But I was going to a lot of shows.
Mm-hmm.
And it was through going to shows that I was like, wait a second, I should be playing music again.
Nice.
And so Shay and I were together at that point, and we really worked together on it. And it was a fun project.
Yeah.
I love it.
Nice.
I started playing music young too. I started in 5th grade or 4th grade. I played cello for a year, and then I started playing trombone after that.
Nice.
Later on, I started playing bass as well. So that kind of became my main instrument for most of my career, I guess, or through most of school. I always played trombone, but it was never my thing. And then I moved here to Minneapolis from South Dakota. And I started playing in bands and stuff, playing bass. And I don't know, I just got kind of bored of it, didn't like what I was doing, and wanted to play trombone again. So that's kind of how Little Lizard started, was just wanting to play trombone again and having a reason to.
Oh, sick. So, because is Little Lizard's your first band you've been in outside of?
Correct. Yep. So this is my first big project.
Okay. Because Shay, you play in Team Killer, and then you formerly played in Porno Wolves, right? So yeah, sick. It's funny you mentioned wanting to move to trombone, because I played trombone in high school and college, and then I was like, I don't really want to play trombone. Trombone's super lame. Tried to find a band doing other things, and then I joined a band recently as a trombone player.
Nice.
And so, yeah. So when you're like, I started on French horn and went to trumpet. I started on trumpet and went to trombone.
All right.
And I attempted to learn trumpet again, but I was like,
Yeah.
Mouthpiece is so small,
It's very small. Yeah.
So where did Little Lizard then become its own entity then? Talk to me about that.
Well, Liz started playing bass. That's kind of when it's all started.
Yeah. Trumpet's hard to play in an apartment.
Yeah.
Neighbors don't like that.
No.
So bass seemed more practical, and I really jived with it. And then one time we went bowling, and my moniker was Little Lizard. And I was like, wait a second, that would be a great band name. And it slowly evolved over a year or so from there, of just brainstorming and figuring out how we could piece together all the instruments we really like to play and wanted to spotlight.
Yeah.
Yeah. That, as well as I started really getting into keyboards and synthesizers, as well as playing trombone and using effects pedals and stuff. Just trying to find ways to make it more fitting for me, instead of just playing in jazz band in college, or concert band, or an orchestra, which is fun, but it was I wanted to do it now.
Yeah.
I didn't want to be in a community band or something. So that's kind of what it came out of.
In Little Lizard, y'all use like your instruments very non-traditionally, like trombone and trumpet are run through pedals. Where did that? I've always wanted to know because, like, I mean, I have the XLR to 1/4-inch adapter, so I can run like an SM57 into like my big muff because, of course, why not throw a trombone through like a fuzz pedal? But like, where did you get that idea, and what made you want to start doing that?
I don't know. I think it was just like as a bass player, I never really used pedals like at all. I had a tuner and that was it. Like I used distortion occasionally, but nothing much. And I kind of like wanted that like aspect of like using effects pedals. And like bass, you can't use like a delay like you can with a higher range instrument where it's going to like add. So it's kind of like trying to get something like a sound I had in my head. Like Miles Davis uses effects pedals. At least he used the wah-wah pedal a lot.
Yeah.
And, On the Corner, I think is the record. And I listened to that for the first time and I was like, wow, like that's super cool. And I want to like kind of do something more like that. Or like in Bitches Brew, they do use like some sort of delay with the trumpet.
Yeah.
Kind of like changes the whole like attitude of the instrument.
We haven't used any effects with trumpet yet, but I think in the future we'll move towards that. I don't know. It seems like, you're like, I'm inspired by Miles Davis. Then it's like, and I'm a trumpet player. And I'm going to do that same thing. It's like, no, we should try that with trombone.
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
I've like seen people play with them live. I don't know what the show was. It was in the main room at First Ave, but the saxophone player used a distortion pedal. And I was like, oh, okay, like you can do that. And I started looking more into it. You can buy all this stuff to make it work, but I just use like 2 guitar preamps. And then I run that signal through my pedals. Like that seems to like be the perfect amount of gain coming from the microphone to make it all like work enough.
Yeah, because you still want it to be like, you want it to be audible as a trombone. You don't want to like turn it into something else. Because I mean, like you mentioned a few minutes ago, you're into synthesizers and keyboards and all that stuff. Like if you wanted to do that, you could just do that. Like
Yeah, we definitely try to do it as like live as possible.
Okay. Yeah. So when did you first starting? Because you put out your first EP was at Broke a Tooth or Broken. I wrote it down. Here you go. I wrote it down. And that came out in 2017, 2018?
It was early 2018.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
I don't know.
So what year did Little Lizard form, and when did you start like writing for that first release?
Let's see. It was only a couple months before that. So I kind of just started writing those songs and playing them and recording them.
Okay.
I like had a drum machine at that point. Like I use a computer now and I make all my like stuff that way. But the first couple things was like with this drum machine I had, and Alesis 16. So I like had all the patterns on that. Just kind of put everything together and was like, the intent was to have Liz play live and to like make it all work. But I played bass in the first couple of things.
Yeah, that's really when I was still like learning how to play bass. So that's kind of where I started out, was just getting those songs down.
Yeah, so probably like, I think I had like 3 months maybe before that, we kind of just started putting it together. So like prior to that, I was like working on this idea of like, I relearned how to play trombone because I'd taken like 3 years where I hadn't played at all. So I just like got my chops back. I found a tenor trombone because I had like an F trigger one.
Yeah.
I don't like this sound. I finally found like an older trombone that I liked, and I was using that.
Okay.
And it's kind of all came together.
Yeah. So. And do you use the drum machine still live, or is that all run through computers? Or
I use a sampler.
Okay.
So like I write all my stuff, or I like MIDI it out on a computer, but then I like bounce that onto my sampler because I like having like no computers, like screens on stage.
Yeah.
So like I just have my 404 sampler.
Gotcha. Because I've caught your band a handful of times at the Kitty Cat Club just at random chance. Because I think the first time I was Wes, who also does Ear Coffee with me. We're chilling on the smoking deck and we're just waiting for the band we came to see, and we were like, "Is that a trombone? Oh, this is strange." So we had to like come in and see it. It was sick. And I noticed like you don't have screens. I'd say just pretty minimal setup for how dense the music is, especially live.
It always feels goofy. We have everything in like suitcases, so we're bringing in like 10 suitcases, and the people are always like, "What are you doing?" And it's like, no, it's really not that much. It's just in ridiculous containment vessels.
It's true.
Yeah.
Well, like a lot of our sound isn't on the sampler. Like the samples are mainly just drums.
Yeah.
The newest record, I did use a couple of actual samples, like synth samples, on drum tracks, but everything else is created by us, like right there.
Yeah. So then moving a little ahead here, we got to your first record, which was released last year, Premium Vanilla, which was recorded in Brooklyn, New York. And talk to me about deciding to record it out there, because that's just it seems a little random.
Out there.
Okay.
So I play in a band as well called Pancake 7. And that was more of a collective. I played bass in that, and we worked. We got a grant to work with a bunch of artists. We brought someone in from New York, and he brought his friend Josh, and we just like hit it off. He's a drummer.
Nice.
And it just happened, and it was like, he's like, I got a studio out there. You should come out. And we're like, I've never been to New York at that point. I really wanted to go. It was like we just combined that, you know. And I just always wanted to like make. It's like New York kind of has like an energy. I didn't know that at that point, but I was hoping it was going to be there. But it does. It's like a very like vibrant city, and people are up at all times. And I don't know. I think we wanted to add some kind of element that like we maybe couldn't get here.
Yeah.
Or, like doing it ourselves or doing it with someone here maybe.
And it kind of added a little pressure to get it done like really well that like day of, because like we were only there for a short while. So I think it kind of added a nice pressure to make it good, real good.
Yeah.
I think I read in your Pass the Mic interview, you lugged all your gear in like 90-degree weather on like the train or something. Like
it was like the first week of September, so it was like 90.
Yeah.
And really humid, and we had like everything on our backs, or we're carrying it. So like we brought as little as we could. We just brought one keyboard and the bass, which was the worst. Like lugging around a bass in the subway.
Yeah.
It was horrible, but we made it happen. So
we had like stayed with our friend who was on campus at Columbia in her dorm, and it was like no AC in there, just like this tiny room.
Oh,
very sweaty. It was a good time.
Did you record that first record in just a day, or what was the time frame for banging out?
Oh, sorry.
No, you keep going. Sorry.
We did it in like a little over 8 hours.
Oh wow! Because I was like
making food in the middle.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because that's a 9-track record, that your debut, right? So that's more than a song an hour.
Yeah. We had rehearsed it for quite a while before bringing it to the studio, and that's kind of what we continue to do.
Yeah.
Like with those songs, we were able to play those live a lot, kind of like develop them like out. And then like still going in the studio was pretty easy of just like, we're just playing a show. That's kind of how we treated it at that time. Like we did like some overdubs, and we went back and like we ran things through amps and stuff like that, but nothing super crazy. We just kind of like wanted to just get it done.
Gotcha. Yeah, because I was wondering how much you bring into a studio setting with something that like a lot of it is composed so seemingly in the box, quote unquote, for like a lot of the synths and all that stuff. I mean, you have keyboards, so I didn't know if you mostly play a lot of the stuff live in the studio and then from there play with it, or kind of talk me through that process.
So for Premium Vanilla, we just like those songs we just played straight up. I don't think we did any sort of like going back. Like we went back and did some parts over, but like it was all those songs were written so I could play trombone and play keyboards. A lot of them are like one-handed keyboard stuff, so I could just hold my horn and switch back. And then Liz, you only played bass on that one? I
only played bass on that one.
So for that record, we just like played, and we were like, this is our song. This is how we want it. And then like it got mixed and whatnot. But
yeah, nice. Well, then moving then into the record we're here to talk about now, Earthlings. You mentioned that it's in Pass the Mic as well, or not Pass the Mic. It was in the liner notes of that record. It's inspired by classic sci-fi and cheesy horror films. And this is the first time, Liz, you played trumpet, like you mentioned, and theremin. Talk to me about just writing that record, especially with like a theme like that. Because again, it's mostly instrumental music. So like trying to incorporate a theme into something that's, you have the mood is what you have to play on. It's not like you can tell someone a narrative. Talk to me about writing that record and kind of that inspiration that you mentioned in kind of the liner notes of that record.
Yeah, it is very mood based. I think a lot of it conceptually started when we were like, I think we were on the road somewhere to play shows. And it just kind of was like an idea like, oh, we should do a sci-fi album. We love those movies. That's in our wheelhouse. Why not? And so then we started like brainstorming names for like tracks, like what kind of overarching themes and like sounds we wanted in it. And theremin was a big one because that's like in a lot of silent theaters, they use that to create like scores to movies just on the fly. So I thought that would be really fun to bring in. And then trumpet, I had started playing again a little bit going into this, and I just really wanted to bring in the brassiness because we had played in a brass ensemble together before. So it was a nice way for us to kind of go back to our roots on that.
Yeah. I don't know. We did talk about it a lot, and I was kind of putting together new material. So like when we finished Premium Vanilla, we were like, all right, next thing. So I started like writing stuff, and I found that I really wanted to start using like more like classic drum machine sounds. So like there's 808. The whole record has 808 sounds, and I was like, perfect, and that was like just kind of became the Earthlings thing. Like, oh, we got that as our basis. We always got like bass for most stuff. And then I actually bought an FM synthesizer, and that just has like kind of more of like a tinnier, like hollow sound that's really good for like more of like spacey, like weird digital stuff. It just like kind of added, snowballed into this like thing. And we do really like sci-fi movies, and we watched a lot.
Yeah, like Ghost Shows is about us watching way too much of Ghost Adventures.
Hell yeah.
So kind of like the trumpets, like them yelling at the ghosts when they're on an investigation, and then the theremin solo is more like the ghost being like, "Get out of here! This is our place." Yeah. So for me, it was kind of like inspired by that investigation and just like people yelling in abandoned spaces.
Yeah, for sure. And like other sci-fi movies, like we always talk about Plan 9 from Outer Space because it's so ridiculous. It's just all over the place. And like that's kind of like what we wanted to do too. So like a lot of the songs are like more serious and have more of like a darker tone, and some are like pretty playful and like out there.
Gotcha. And did you recorded this record then in Minneapolis then?
Yeah.
Okay.
So we first worked with our friend Jimmy Osterholt, and we recorded Take Me to Your Leader and Star Child with him, and we released those as singles and actually toured those. And then when I think this could have been before we left for tour or after we started like really working on the record again with Eric Martin in his basement studio. And then he's the one who actually finished the record and mixed and he mixed it, and we got it mastered as well.
Gotcha. Did you make a point to try and do this kind of a longer time frame then for this recording process? Talk to me about that then.
Well, since we did Premium Vanilla in one day, we were like, we don't want to do it again. It was doable, but we wanted to like explore just more. Like Earthlings has a lot more like voices, added 2 more synths and another horn. So we just like knew it was going to take longer, and we wanted to actually take our time. We wrote, not all the songs were done by the time we start recording, so we were finishing songs as we were recording them.
Okay.
We'd finish it, and then we go like track it.
Okay.
And that was kind of like the way we worked.
Gotcha. Did you have a favorite moment then from working in the studio on these kind of in that way? Was there something that really stood out to you about being able to like sit on these songs and then track or something like that? Or
yeah, it was nice to like be able to really focus on like 1 or 2 songs. So we did numerous sessions. We'd like do a session, and then we'd wait like 2 weeks, and we'd do another session, and then like another 2 weeks later or a month later we'd do the last one. Or I don't remember how it all played out, but so we'd like first we had a couple songs we wanted to do, and we did those, and then we're like finished a couple more songs and like really like got into like what it's going to sound like, and then went and just tracked those.
And it was fun having a little more time to like work in the studio since there wasn't the pressure. So like I think Eric brought a lot to the table with ideas, and like what was that you were doing with like a Hammond organ and the pedals, like just taking extra time to play around with like wacky stuff.
Yeah, so in the beginning of Roswell, there's actually a Hammond organ, or in the beginning of it. was like that's not like a synthesizer. So we actually he had that, and we were like, let's add this. Let's try it out.
No, that's sick. Yeah. And I know we kind of touched on this a little previously when talking about writing the record. I wonder, I've always wondered, like listening to your music, especially going back and like reading the liner notes along with, because there's a lot I feel to glean there on top of on top of listening what the EP or the album has to talk about. Like Break a Tooth is about the fragility of the human body, is what you mentioned. Like what's the thought process, and how do you like work when writing to make sure that like that idea to you like makes its way into those songs? Because again, like we talked about before, you have instruments. It's not words, but it's instruments to kind of push that along. And you talk about like the trumpets versus the theremin is like a call and answer when talking about Ghost, that song and stuff like that.
Yeah, for sure. I guess for me, it's really easy to use instruments to try to like create an emotion. And so if I have like an idea. So actually Break a Tooth is about Liz. She actually broke one of her teeth, and it was a real crazy experience.
It was an ordeal.
It was an ordeal for sure. That whole thing was just kind of like, these are some feelings. I'm going to put it into this EP.
Yeah. So you'd usually like start, and then I'd come into like a more editorial role. And so I think having like the multiple perspectives can really help also in creating like a more well-rounded mood that like not just one person feels, but it could be others as well.
Okay.
Yeah. So like Liz does a lot of editing of the songs. Like maybe I'll write something, and then we both get together and listen to it, kind of go through it.
Yeah.
And so like, and with titling works, and like, I just kind of write about what's happening to me, like what I'm thinking about at that time. And luckily with Earthlings, it kind of all like worked out and worked into this concept. And like, I think by taking time to record it, I was able to more effectively play instruments more in like a emotive way. I feel like pieces like Roswell is like very like
kind of aggressive.
Like,
what are they
aggressive,
hiding?
Yeah.
What's
like
there?
worrying kind of feel. And I feel like being able to, how we spaced out the album and how we recorded it, we were able to kind of like make that come forward a little more.
Yeah.
It's like to make like the whole concept kind of make sense.
And also like working in samples. So on our album Premium Vanilla, on like the track Rainforest Romp, at first it was just like really bare and just the instruments. And then like I thought like, why don't we add in some animal sounds and samples? And that really just like rounded it out and takes you mentally somewhere. So just like coming up with ways to add little extra elements, like Take Me to Your Leader. We use the vocal samples.
Yeah.
They're pretty simple, but they pack a punch.
Yeah.
Take us to your leader. We got some stuff to say.
Like drive that idea, as well as like since there are no words except for a couple vocal samples, like we hope that people listen to it and kind of make their own decision about what are they feeling, like how does it work for them? Hopefully that connects.
Yeah, most definitely. So moving on, you did a live stream for your record release for Earthlings, since obviously we can't, go out to shows right now, which is a massive bummer. But I wanted to ask you a little bit about that. Were you ready, or how do you think that live stream went, and just kind of putting it together? Because I don't like, people are doing live streams, but it's, here or there, or they work with, they go through somebody. Like setting that up, was that something you wanted to do from like realizing you couldn't play this music live right now? Is kind of, where was that thought process at?
That was tough.
We had like a date booked for the release. It was in May.
Mm-hmm.
So May 4th it was supposed to be. So once we learned that we couldn't do that, it was like, how are we going to do this? Like, we don't want to sit on this any longer. We felt like we worked over a year recording it and getting it all together. Where it's like, we need it out.
Mm-hmm.
So we were like, how are we going to do that? We saw people live streaming. It just kind of made sense. The first one we did it with Melodic Noise Media, and we did it in our apartment. Mm-hmm. So that was interesting. I like used a plunger mute.
Yeah.
I like like get rid of some of the volume.
We
Yeah.
took time to like experiment with
Yeah.
what would work best for a live release that would be streamed.
Yeah. And then we ended up getting able to go to our space again, our rehearsal space, and we have like a mixer there.
Mhm.
So like that was really easy to start like getting better sound using that. And like I started using my phone to shoot it too, which has a better camera than like my computer.
Mhm.
Yeah, and we wanted to make it kind of like a pop-up venue, so we put up balloons. That was really fun, and I think it like, at least for us, it added an ambiance, so it was like easier to bring like your normal on-stage energy.
Mhm.
Yeah, like the last one we did, our release, we felt like that was the closest to playing a show I'd felt in a long time. It's like it really felt like there's no audience, but the energy was there. Like it almost felt like, you know, I guess we could feel maybe people the other side of the screen or something.
Yeah.
But
They were there.
we did all the lighting and stuff like that. We enjoy doing that when we
Yeah.
do videos and stuff like things like that. So
Yeah,
it all
'cause
worked.
you shot a lot of not a lot. You shot a handful of music videos for Earthlings, which talk to me about making those, because Liz, did you spearhead those? If I
Yeah.
saw somewhere,
I think a lot of them, I feel like I take credit for them conceptually.
Mhm.
I think since we didn't get to do the live shows, we were trying to figure out other ways we could bring like what we do to people visually, because I think people get more from seeing that element than just from hearing recordings. So the first video we did was Take Me to Your Leader, and that was in February. So nothing seemed like it was hitting the fan yet.
Mhm.
So we had one of our friends, Noah, dressed up in our alien costume, and we got to do a little more with that video in a rehearsal space. And then we weren't able to do our original album release date, so we decided to do another music video, which was Ghost Shows. And that one was in the thick of quarantine, so that was only in our apartment. We didn't leave, which was pretty fun. It was a good challenge. Yeah, we did that in a day, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, we shot it in a day.
Okay.
But it took me a while to edit it.
Fair.
And that one, we think our apartment might be haunted, so we definitely played off of that. Like, where are the gypsies hiding? There might be one in the bathroom.
Yeah.
Probably in the stairway, in the basement. Just getting really ghouly with it. And then we also did Earthlings, which is the album name.
Mhm.
That one was kind of an homage to being humans and trying to be your most self, I guess.
Mhm. And that
So
one,
that was kind of bringing in anime and like Sears glamour shots, and then we got a green screen to play with. So that's kind of been our hobby in this crazy times, is music videos.
I mean, when you need, like, I don't know, there's something about video content, extra additional video content that just like makes it suck a little less when sitting and be like, well, I can't go to shows, I can't see anybody. Like, it's nice to listen to the band, but like I can see them. So
Yeah.
Mhm.
We feel that too. Like Liz said, like visually, we feel like we come across pretty well. So and like live, we feel like people really are receptive to us, and like just kind of bringing that element into videos or
some surprise, some whimsy.
Are you planning any live streams in the future?
Yeah, we'll probably do.
Okay.
I don't know right now.
Yeah.
We got the record out. We're just doing some stuff. We're actually starting to work on our next album, but that's another conversation.
Yeah. We'll catch you on the next one. Yeah.
We don't know when they're going to be, but we'll probably do one.
I think it would be nice to do one with like other bands somehow, or figure out how to do it at possibly a venue or another place.
Yeah.
So some things for us to work out, but
Yeah. Well, we're coming into the final stretch here on this interview. Where can people find you to interact online?
all over.
All over?
Instagram at Little Lizard Band.
Yeah, we're also on Twitter. We have a website. Our website domain is lillizard.com.
LIL.
Yep. LILLIZARD.com.
Nice.
I upload that all the time.
Mhm.
Yeah, you can contact us on Twitter or on Facebook or Instagram.
And then where can people find your music?
On Spotify, on Apple
Apple.
Music, definitely Bandcamp and SoundCloud as well.
Yeah.
Sick. Well, make sure to go check out Earthlings, which is, at the time of recording this, has been out for just over a week. You can find it where they mentioned it. Liz, Shay, thank you so much for sitting down and talking with me here on this Monday night.
Thanks for talking to us. We miss people.
Yes.
The Ear Coffee Podcast is a companion to the blog of the same name. If you like this episode, please leave us a rate and review so we can stand out among the other music podcasts. You can follow us at Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram @Ear Coffee. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you next time.